BUHARI hosts head of the Libyan Presidential Council in Abuja. Lagos demands special economic status as public hearing on constitution reviews begin nationwide. And detained Mali President Prime Minister officially resigned. Glad to have you join us on News Now. I am Oyi Adekunle. We begin on a rather sad note in northwest Nigeria, where dozens of people have been declared missing in Niger State after a ferry boat sank on the River Niger. The passengers, believed to be mainly women and children, were traveling from Niger State to Kebbi on Wednesday morning when the vessel capsized. Eyewitnesses say more than 160 people were on the boat when it suddenly broke in two in the middle of the river. Authorities blamed the accident on overloading, as the boat was meant to ferry not more than 80 passengers. One dead body has been recovered, while 22 people have been rescued so far, and efforts are ongoing to find the remaining passengers. The Lagos State government is asking for derivation for all states that generate revenue into the federal purse, and not just for oil-producing states. This position was canvassed at the public hearing on the amendments of the 1999 Constitution for the Lagos Center. TV360's TGA now reports.
The Senate Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution is in Lagos for the zonal public hearing. And in this, all civil society organizations, labor unions, market women, the clergy, traditional rulers are all here to make an input into the proposed amendment of the 1999 Constitution. One after the other, stakeholders canvass their position on the alteration they deem important in the 1999 Constitution. For Lagos State, issues that need to be addressed include fiscal federalism, state police, revenue derivation, among others.
According to the National Assembly, the primary issues on the table for this public hearing include, but certainly not limited to, increased participation of women and vulnerable groups in our governance, local government administration and autonomy, state police, fiscal federalism, and revenue allocation issues. I believe the need for this special status has been sufficiently articulated and justified. It suffices for me at this point to restate that this request is by no means a selfish one, but one that is actually in the interest of every Nigerian and of Nigeria as a nation.
I proposed a radical change whereby the federal government will get 34%, state governments will get 42%, and the local government will get 23%.
Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omagege, who was represented by the Zonal Chairman, Senate Committee on Constitution Review, Oluremi Tinubu, said the public hearing is in line with the promise of the Ninth Assembly to give Nigerians a good working document.
Indeed, this ongoing review provides a platform for the good people of Nigeria to express their opinions on the fundamental laws that govern our lives through proposals that will lead to the highest good for the greatest number of people.
For the labor union, the issue of minimum wage, local government autonomy, and economic hardship is of concern. And the labor said they will not give up in fighting for the masses.
The status of UN provided clearly, once a country domesticates a convention, that country shall implement that convention to the letter. It's there in the UN Charter, and it's there also in the Charter for the ILO, of which Nigeria is a member state.
Government is not fulfilling their own part. Part of what they are not fulfilling is we see habitantly increase in the price of electricity, and now they are proposing to increase the price of PMS. Nigerians are not full, and we should not be taken for a ride.
Once we have an autonomous local government, no governor will have power to sack any local government worker. And we want to fix Nigeria. Nigeria is now a dilapidated nation. And any building that is dilapidated, if you want to give a permanent solution to it, you start from the foundation.
Nigerians are hoping that this exercise will lead to a better document that will serve the interest of all and ensure equity, fairness, and justice. From Lagos, Tunjoye, TV360 News. You want to read?
President Muhammadu Buhari has stressed that a stable or unstable Libya has implications for countries in the Lake Chad Basin area, including Nigeria. President Buhari said this on Wednesday when he hosted Mohamed Yunus Menfi, the chairman of the Presidential Council of Libya. Buhari noted that Chad and Niger have extensive borders with Libya and they are Nigeria's immediate neighbors. Therefore, whatever affects them also affects Nigeria. He affirms that the security of Nigeria is a top priority to him, noting that unless a country or institution is secured, there's no way it can be efficiently managed. Libya's leader, Mohamed Yunus Menfi, said Libya was fast evolving and there is now one active government on ground. And President Muhammadu Buhari has lauded the Lake Chad Basin Commission, the multinational joint task force, and the armed forces of member countries for their efforts in restoring peace and stability in the region. Buhari said this while hosting the extraordinary summit of heads of state and government of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, convened to discuss the recent developments in Chad following the death of its former president, Idris Deby. Buhari also urged members of the international community to support Chad as it transits from military to democratic government in the allotted period of 18 months.
The threats by the Chadian rebel groups who are clamoring to overthrow the government must be viewed with all the seriousness they deserve, because the consequences of a destabilized Chad to the sub-region cannot be imagined. The need to support the Chadian government to effectively carry out its planned 18-month transition is sacrosanct. However, it must be stated that the sanctity of the Chadian constitution is the supreme guiding document defining the social contract in the country must be respected. The transition period should be civilian-led, with requisite powers given to the constitutionally mandated organs of government settled with the responsibility of administering the country. That way, the integrity of the transition period would be guaranteed, while a credible process leading to the establishment of a democratically acceptable government for the good of all Chadians can be attained.
The Senate President Ahmed Lawan has called for a review of the country's security architecture for better results, saying the non-functioning local government system and traditional system are major challenges for the country. Lawan said this on Wednesday at the National Security Summit held at the National Intelligence Agency Abuja with security chiefs, security experts, and members of the executive and legislative arms of government to fashion out ways of achieving lasting solutions to the nation's insecurity challenges. Also speaking at the summit, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, admitted that insecurity threatens the foundation of the country, and he gave assurances that the government will put in more efforts at securing the country and protecting the lives and investments of Nigerians. And the Nigerian Senate is advocating the establishment of a nationwide primary telephone number for reporting emergencies to relevant agencies of government. Now, this forms part of discussions at the one-day public hearing on the Nigerian Postal Service Act and the nationwide toll-free emergency number establishment bill organized by the Senate Committee on Communications. Our correspondent Abisola Adebayo reports.
The major players in the telecommunications sector in the country are here before the Senate Committee on Communication to discuss the Nigeria Postal Service Act and the nationwide toll-free emergency number establishment bill. Chairman of the committee, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, noted that the toll-free emergency number bill will give the Nigerian Communications Commission powers to supervise and ensure compliance.
There is a need to ensure that legislation for the sector is reflective of the times we are in. Consequently, this bill proposes an expansion of the current objectives of NIPOST.
Sponsor of the National Emergency Number Act 2021, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, says the bill seeks to make 112 the emergency number of Nigeria to enable citizens have access to quick and timely response to all forms of emergency situations such as road accidents, fire outbreak, burglary, medical emergencies, and so on.
Findings have shown that this availability of multiple emergency telephone and helpline numbers in Nigeria are becoming impediments for people to get accelerated emergency response from emergency situations. This is because a lot of people often find it difficult to decipher which of the numbers to put a call through to among an array of emergency helpline numbers available to them. Therefore, adopting 112 as a uniform national emergency number will enable Nigerians to easily learn, remember, and dial the number when in distress situations.
Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, who advocated an independent regulator for the NEPOS bill, equally called for the establishment of one operational emergency communication center in each state of the Federation. Pantami says these numbers will be unified like the other multiple emergency numbers that has been in existence before now.
Nationwide toll-free emergency number. This is also a very important bill that will make our emergency communication centers in the country very effective. Looking at the challenges we have in the country with regards to security, throughout last year, we spent the whole year trying to activate our emergency communication centers all over the country. Our plan is to have a minimum of one emergency communication center in each state, and that will be in collaboration with other stakeholders that will use it, like police, fire service, and many more.
We observe that the bill has not taken into cognizance the current emergency communications center infrastructure and the role of the NCC in managing emergency situations. Hence, the bill should include provisions on the ECC approach and the role of the NCC in facilitating the necessary infrastructure. The role of the NCC should be based on its powers to regulate communications services.
The bill, when passed into law, will make 112 a uniform emergency number throughout the country. Abisola Adebayo, TV360, Lagos.
The Delta State government has denied receiving £4.2 million looted by former Governor James Ibori. The Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, on Tuesday, while appearing before the Senate committee investigating the status of recovered loot, said that the fund has been returned to the state. However, the Chief Press Secretary to the state government, Olisa Ifejika, on Wednesday countered the Accountant General's claim, insisting that the oil-rich state is yet to receive the money. Ifejika said as much as the state appreciates the efforts of the federal government to return the recovered loot to Delta State where it rightly belongs, it should be stated that the money has not been sent to the Delta State government's accounts. He assured that the Delta State government will ensure that the funds are judiciously utilized to improve infrastructure across the state once it is received. And the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, says the federal government is committed to sustaining the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) amid calls for the scheme to be scrapped. Dare made this known in a tweet on his official Twitter handle on Wednesday morning, saying the NYSC is one of the greatest tools for national development for youths in Nigeria. Calls for the NYSC to be scrapped had recently gained momentum following a federal lawmaker's sponsorship of a bill to repeal the National Youth Service Corps Act, which has been billed for second reading. The NYSC scheme is a mandatory one-year national service for Nigerian graduates who bagged their first degree before turning 30-year-old and was created on 22nd of May 1973 to foster unity following the Nigerian Civil War. And the international community of the Red Cross ICRC, in collaboration with the Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria, have organized a two-day training session for 40 medical staff of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. Organizers say the aim of the training is to keep health workers informed about the laws guiding healthcare in conflicts and other emergencies. Our correspondent Simisola Adigun reports.
Rising conflict around the world has affected millions of lives. But in the center of this conflict are medical doctors, nurses, and first responders who have increasingly become targets of attacks while performing their duties. To address this, the International Committee of the Red Cross, in collaboration with the Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria, have put together a 2-day training session for the health team of the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LUTH, on the laws guiding treatment administration on patients in conflict and other emergencies.
We have been training medical professionals, doctors and other healthcare professionals for several decades now. And what this is going to do is empower us as academics and those who work with us as a team to bring up a crop of healthcare workers that are conscious of how to provide healthcare in dangerous situations. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that this is very relevant, especially right now in our country.
The difference between having the laws and respecting the laws. So what we do is mostly to call on the people, the authorities, all the armed carriers to respect the healthcare personnel, to respect healthcare facilities, and to allow ambulance services, especially when people are in need. They really have to have these facilities very close to them.
The attack is not actually only on health workers, it's also on the patients, it's also on the structured health facilities that are used to treat patients. So if the health workers are aware of these things, these laws, and then they also take protection against those things, then it is likely that during crises, during emergencies, they will walk freely. Patients will come into the facilities and receive healthcare freely and all that.
Participants at the training who commended the efforts of the organizing team say they are now more aware of actions to take when faced with such challenges.
And one thing that I've come away with from this training is a concept called medical neutrality, where a healthcare worker is supposed to have neither friend nor foe in a case of armed conflict, for example.
Health care in danger, particularly violence against health workers, we've seen that a lot these days, and also most importantly that they are unreported. And we learned about the rights of healthcare workers and what they need to do. We learned about the Geneva Conventions, and then quite educative, I must say. And I think that this, of course, every doctor, every health worker really needs to participate in this kind of training.
With a recorded 68% target at health workers, its devastating consequences for the victims and healthcare personnel is a critical humanitarian issue that must be addressed. Simisola Adigun, TV360, Lagos.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. Embrace Anchor Borrowers Program, CBN Governor tells bandits. Details of that and more shortly. Thank you for staying with us. Now, here's a quick reminder of some of our top stories tonight. Dozens of people have been declared missing in Niger State after a ferry boat sank on the River Niger. The passengers, believed to be mainly women and children, were traveling from Niger State to Kebbi State on Wednesday morning when the vessel capsized. We also told you that the Lagos State government is asking for derivation for all states that generate revenue into the federal purse and not just for oil-producing states. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said this at the public hearing on the amendment of the 1999 Constitution in Lagos State. And in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. The Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, SAHEL, says vaccine apathy will be completely addressed with adequate information and advocacy. Shoaib said this while updating journalists about COVID-19 vaccination in the country. He also disclosed that no fewer than 1.9 million Nigerians have so far received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, adding that the agency has begun the deployment of the second dose of the vaccine.
We will continue to provide the correct information about COVID-19 vaccines, right? And then leave it to Nigerians to take that decision. Like we've said in the past, we believe that Nigerians are rational and that Nigerians will listen more to those whose core competence is around vaccination, public health, people who know more about vaccines rather than people who do not know the science but are making pronouncements that are not in their field of specialty. We have to put the information in front of the people, make sure that we educate people about vaccination, immunization, and how this not only protects you as an individual, but protects your family members, your loved ones, and by extension, protects the whole of our communities, right? So we believe that even with the numbers of people who have taken the vaccines, we will give additional second doses. We've already started the second dose vaccination, but with additional consignments of vaccines coming, we believe that Nigerians will actually take the vaccines because we've proven times without number that these vaccines are safe and effective.
We'll take another pause here and return with business stories. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We now have Bisola Adebayo standing by for the latest in the world of business. Bisola, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Oyi. Welcome to Business News. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has appealed to bandits and others whose unlawful activities have dented the economic effort of the government to drop their arms and embrace the CBN's Anchor Borrowers program. Emefiele, who said there is a linkage between security and economic growth, made the appeal at the end of the two-day Monetary Policy Committee meeting on Tuesday.
Nigerians know that about 3 years ago, the federal government of Nigeria and the United States government signed a pact that resulted in a government-to-government acquisition of military equipment, out of which we're expecting at least 12 Tucano aircraft or fighter planes that will help us combat security. LCs were opened to the Central Bank of Nigeria and funds were remitted to the United States government. I'm aware that at least 6 of those Tucano aircrafts are going to be coming in the months of July and August. And I therefore would like to appeal to our brothers who decide that they want to live in the bushes and forests, that they should please begin to retreat, drop their arms, and come and embrace Anchor Borrowers program. If they do so, it will help them. But if they choose not to do so, then they will be confronted by security as this battle continues.
We'll take a pause here and return with stock market review. Do stay with us. Last week, Nigeria's stock market saw 5 bearish turns as analysts' prediction of a week-long sell-off was affirmed. Meanwhile, some analysts remained optimistic about a recovery this week. But the hope of those analysts seemed to be dashed because for the 3rd consecutive day this week, the bears have dominated the Nigeria Exchange Group. And today, it's with a decline of 0.06%. More than 12 billion naira was lost today on the floor of the market in the continued share pressure as the equity cap recorded 19.9 0.28 trillion naira. According to the exchange, however, today's losses are linked to the drop in the share price of today's top two losers rather. That's the FTN Cocoa and MPF Microfinance Bank. They recorded a combined 13 kobo decline. On the flip side, however, that's our top two gainers. That's John Oates and Vitafoam. They had a combined 90 kobo increase. Meanwhile, the activity of the chart sees 203 million units of shares valued at 1 billion naira exchanging hands in 3,594 deals today. Moving on now to the foreign scene, FTSE. As you can see right here, it's in the red. It could not manage to drag itself to the positive territory today, with banks offsetting gains in house builders and betting stocks. It recorded a 0.041% decline. The Dow Jones, however, recorded a 0.20% in the positive territory after Bitcoin briefly jumped back above $40,000. Japan stocks, however, that's Nikkei, it managed to eke out small gains today, capping the 5th straight session of rises, but it lacked traction with uncertainties on global inflation and domestic infections, which kept investors from testing major resistance on the upside rather. So today it recorded a 0.31% increase. That's all on Stock Market Review. It's back to Oyin for the rest of the news.
Well, thank you for that update, Abisola. Now, Mali's interim president Bandor and Prime Minister Mokhtar Owen have officially resigned. Both men have been detained by the country's military junta since Monday evening at a military camp outside the capital, Bamako. The officer who led last year's coup and became vice president of the interim government, Assimi Goita, has accused them of failing in their duties and seeking to sabotage the country's transition because they failed to consult him about a cabinet reshuffle. Reports of their resignations come as West African mediators visit the country, hoping to organize their release from military detention. Well, it's now time for entertainment reports on News Now.
Award-winning Nigerian superstar PHYNO is among the few most consistent rappers in the country, as he never seems to disappoint his fans by dropping back-to-back hits. PHYNO has announced that he's set to release his 4th studio album. He made the announcement on his official Twitter page, where he wrote Album 4 is coming, accompanied with 2 pictures. Since the turn of the year, PHYNO has been on a run with songs like DJ KY's Highway and Mastercraft's Egbon. The album will be a follow-up to Eddie's nominated Deal With It, which was released in 2019. Former Big Brother Naija housemates Neo and Venita Akpofure have gotten members of the internet community gushing after they were both sighted in a lovely video. The mother of 2, Venita, had taken to her Instagram page with a cute TikTok video which also featured Neo. The post elicited mixed reactions from fans of the reality stars, as it was the first time they had been sighted together in a long time. Months ago, Neo in an interview had made it clear that his relationship with fellow reality star V is none of Venita's business. Well, it appears they've moved past the episode, and Venita's latest post is proof. That's all we have for you on entertainment segment of News Now.
And in sports, Africa's #1 table tennis player Aruna Quadri would know the certainty of his chances of competing in his 3rd Olympic Games next week when the International Table Tennis Federation (ITTF) releases the final list of players expected to compete at the Tokyo Olympic Games in Japan. According to the ITTF, 93 players are set to contest in both the men's and women's team event in the rescheduled Summer Games. Quadri, who copped an injury during the African Olympic qualifying tournament in Tunisia last year, is expected to pick his ticket to Tokyo through world rankings, since he's rated 2nd behind England's Liam Pitchford among the top-ranked players yet to qualify for the Games. Well, that's it on News Now at this time. Well, thank you for watching. I am Oyin Adekunle.